Happy Monday to you. I'm Brian Rascona with another golf report here on April 20th, 420 actually. So if you're celebrating 420, hopefully you're doing it happily and responsibly. There's lots to get to that happened over the weekend in the golf world. We had the Senior PGA Championship, first major on the Champions Tour. Also Live Golf down in Mexico City. Not exactly the storyline of who won that championship. We obviously have the RBC Heritage that took place down in Hilton Head. Matthew Fitzpatrick wins that against world's number one Scotty Scheffler in a playoff hole down at Harbortown Golf Links. We'll start, though, with the LPGA, and Hannah Green takes the championship as she defeats Se-Young Kim in a playoff hole after coming back from 6 strokes back. She makes birdie in that playoff hole to defeat Se-Young Kim, and she wins her 3rd JM Eagle championship out of 4 tries. And she takes home the trophy down at El Caballero Country Club in L.A. So congratulations to Hannah Green. She wins for the 3rd time in 4 years down at El Caballero Country Club, which is pretty impressive for any golfer of any level. Also, U.S. Kids Tour on the Long Island Sound, I may say that. My son plays second. Luca Rascona plays second behind Alan Lynn, shooting an 11 over 46. They only play 9 holes, and I was his caddy, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on the way you look at it. But he's the first runner-up in the first tournament of the year on the Long Island Sound Kids Tour, U.S. Kids Tour, and Alan Lynn took first place. So hats off to Alan Lynn. Congratulations to my son, Luca Rascona. We'll go down to Bradenton, Florida. Stuart Sink beats Ben Crane by 6 strokes in the PGA Championship, the first major on the Champions Tour. So congratulations to Stuart Sink, one of the golf, I would say, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but one of the top golfers of his time. And you know what's funny about Stuart Sink? It always jogs my memory. I've been to so many tournaments in my life, and when you've seen Stuart Sink play in countless U.S. Opens. I used to go to the U.S. Open every year for a long streak for about 17 years. What strikes me always about Stuart Sink is that whenever he takes his hat off, because he's bald like me, all right, first of all, but whenever he takes his hat off, he shaves his head, and it's all skin, and there's always a red line from his hat line, like in a perfect circle, and it's white as a ghost on top, and then sunburn from his hat line down whenever he takes his hat off after the round. But a really nice guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him a bunch of times. So congratulations to Stuart Sink. Beats Ben Crane by 6 strokes down in Bradenton, Florida to take the first major on the Champions Tour. Now the Live, and what's going on with the Live Tour. Jon Rahm wins the tournament down in Mexico City. Not the storyline this week. The Public Investment Fund, backed by Saudi Arabia, has made an announcement that they will pull out of investing more money into the Live Tour at the end of this season. As far as we know, the season is still going on as planned. So what does that mean for the players? What does that mean for the Live Tour? It means that if Live wants to succeed and keep the players going, they need to find someone else to invest in it, because they're not going to have the money to back, everything else, putting on the tournaments, tickets, employment, the whole 9 yards. So they're not going to have the money to back the Live Tour anymore. So what does that mean for the players? That means the players, I would think, are going to seek employment elsewhere. Where are they going to go? Obviously, they're going to try to go back to the PGA Tour, I would think. My question for you at home is, and I want you to do some homework on this because I was thinking about this weekend. My question for you at home is, do these PGA Tour players have to pay a penalty for basically saying screw you to the PGA Tour and now crawling back to the PGA Tour? Because I think that's where they're going to go. What do the Cam Smiths do? What do the Joaquin Niemans do? What do the Jon Rahms do? What do the Abraham Answers do? What are all these players going to do now if Live is dissolved? And do they have to pay a price to get back to the PGA Tour? What's it going to be? What's the restitution going to be? Do they have to pay extensive fines? Do they have to get their PGA Tour card back? Do they have to do both? So you can hit me up on X, B_Rascona. That's B_RASCONA. And I would love to hear your answers on that as far as what do these players have to do in order to pry their way back into the PGA Tour. Now, Live was a good thing for PGA Tour. And let me explain to you why. When Live started and the players were getting upset that they weren't getting paid the money that they should have been getting paid, what happened? What did Jay Monahan do? He upped all the purses in all these PGA events, especially signature events. Like last week, the purse was $20 million total. That was not the case going back 4 or 5 years ago at the RBC Heritage. So that's what happened. It enhanced the money for these players, which predominantly that's what they wanted anyway, right? That's what players want. They want money. Everybody wants money. Typically, whenever there's a dispute in sports, it's always about money. Get ready for Major League Baseball to go through that in 2027. So LIV did benefit the PGA Tour. It's just that nobody's watching LIV and nobody really cares about it. So it's not succeeding. And that's basically what it's come down to now. And now the Public Investment Fund out of Saudi Arabia now will pull out of investing in the LIV Tour in 2026. As far as we know, the tour dates are still on as scheduled. Let's get to the RBC. We'll go over my bets from last week first. I'm calling these bets this week the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's exactly what it was. Let's start with the good. I had Patrick Cantlay. This is based on a $100 bet. So if you put $100 on each bet, I'll explain to you, if you did bet with me, how it worked out. So you put $100 on Patrick Cantlay to finish in the top 10. That was the good. He placed 8th, shooting an 11 under for the tournament, and he was 8th, tied for 8th overall. So that was at plus 230. You're plus $230. I also had Patrick Cantlay. Now it's the bad. It's time for the bad. I also had Patrick Cantlay to win for $100. So you lose $100 there. Now you're plus 130 in all. All right. I also had Sepp Straka to finish in the top 5. Now, interesting on Sepp Straka. We talked about the win last week and how it could play a part at the RBC. I looked at the weather prior to the championship, and Thursday and the whole weekend looked great. The whole weekend looked like there was going to be minimal wind, and these players were going to be able to score on this golf course. I said this finishing score will be around minus 17, minus 18. Turns out it was minus 18. Sepp Straka, I had in the top 5. He cracked the top 5 on Sunday with an eagle on 2. He started midday. The winds were not fierce at that time. As the day grew on, you saw an 18, especially on that playoff hole, Matthew Fitzpatrick and Scottie Scheffler. Fitzpatrick looked at the wind, right in the teeth of the wind, and put it within 13 feet. Scheffler came up short. Wind, I would think, obviously played a part in Scheffler's second shot, and I think it played a part in Sepp Straka's rest of his day after he eagled the second hole. He wound up dropping way down on the leaderboard. I'm not sure where he finished exactly, but he didn't make the top 5, so now you're plus $30. I also had Sepp Straka to win for $100. That was a loss. He did not win, so now you're down $70. Now the ugly, ladies and gentlemen, okay, and kids of all ages. The ugly. I had Tony Finau at plus 22,000 to win the tournament. I thought this could have been a pop-up. Hey, I'm here, Tony Finau tournament. Turns out he was in the bottom. He was at the bottom of the leaderboard pretty much the whole weekend. So you lost 100 there. In total, you lost $170 during this RBC Heritage. If you bet with me, I'll have more bets for you come to Zurich this week. But you know what? At least you were entertained. I was. I lost $170. Okay? There you go. There's the story. Let's get into the teeth of the RBC Heritage. Matthew Fitzpatrick now wins for the second time this year on tour, tied for the lead for most wins so far. Scottie doesn't have a win yet, although came back at the Masters and came back this week in the RBC. He actually birdied 2 out of the last 3 holes, forced it into a playoff as he parred 18, and Fitzpatrick bogeyed 18. They come back down 18. Fitzpatrick puts it in the center. Scheffler puts it in the center. Scheffler comes up short on his second shot, and Matthew Fitzpatrick puts it within 13 feet and nails the birdie putt, left to right putt, sneaks it in the left side, and wins the RBC. Matthew Fitzpatrick now ranked number 3 in the world. So you have Scottie Scheffler at number 1, Rory McIlroy at number 2, and Matthew Fitzpatrick at number 3. Now, Matthew Fitzpatrick is among the leaders across golf, across most of the top categories: driving accuracy, green and regulation. He's in the top 10. You know what he's not in the top 10? Putting. He's 65th in the world in putting. And this weekend, he putted his rear end off. So you know what that tells me? If he could keep putting the way he's been putting this year, Fitzpatrick, he's going to be right up there in the top 5 the whole season during this golf season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Matthew Fitzpatrick, if he stays up there or if he comes back to the pack this year. But right now, he moved up to the world number 3, and former U.S. Open champion back in Brookline in 2022. I'm actually wearing the hat right now as a tribute to Matthew Fitzpatrick. I was at that tournament, one of the many tournaments I've been to. Matthew Fitzpatrick, former U.S. Open champion, and now has won for the second time this year, and also the second time at the RBC. This is the second championship for him in 3 years for Matthew Fitzpatrick. So congratulations to Matthew Fitzpatrick. Congratulations to Hannah Green. Congratulations to Stuart Sink. And I guess John Rahm for winning the Live tournament that's really not going to really exist next year. This week, though, we have the Zurich Classic coming up. It's going to take place on Thursday down in New Orleans. Okay, this is the first team golf event you will have on the PGA Tour. Actually, the only team golf event you will have on the PGA Tour this season. It'll be 4-ball on Thursday and Saturday, foursome ball on Friday and Sunday. I'll explain all that to you in my preview on Wednesday. Again, 4-ball Thursday, foursome ball on Friday, 4-ball on Saturday, foursome ball on Sunday. It's a paired team event, so guys will be playing together as a team. We'll go over all the rules on that on Wednesday, so look forward to my next golf. That'll be my golf preview coming up this Wednesday, which will be the 22nd of April. We thank you for joining on the review today on this Monday on the New York Sports Radio Alumni Network. Again, tweet me at B_Rascona with any questions. That's B_RASCONA. And I'll see you Wednesday with a golf preview of the Zurich Classic right here on the New York Sports Radio Alumni Network. I'm Brian Rascona. Enjoy your week.